Good morning. We'll go ahead and get started with our December 1st Neighborhoods meeting. I'll call the meeting to order. And we'll start with introductions to my left with Mr. Delaney.
Good morning, y'all. Bill Delaney, Mayor's Office.
Brandon Russell, Council Research.
Mary Stefopoulos, Office of General Counsel.
Philip Peterson, Council Auditor's Office.
Good morning, Michael Boylan, District 6.
Good morning, Ken Amaro, City Council, District 1.
Mike Gay, District 2.
Good morning, Chris Miller, At-Large, Group 5.
Ron Salem, Group 2 at large.
Good morning, Tyrone Clark Murray, District 9.
All right. Thank you all, everyone. Do we have any public comment? Thank you. All right. We do have one, Mr. Carnell Oliver. Please come up. You'll be given 3 minutes. Give your name and address, or say it's on file. And please speak to a specific bill, sir.
Yes, my name is Carnell Oliver. Address is on file. I want to speak to the grant for the Doro project. I think it's like $500,000. And a lot of this deep state money that keeps coming out of our city coffers has me wondering. For example, you got more funding going to KHA, and do we clearly understand what are the benefits to the people? I'll give a prime example. I sent an email to the state legislature about the COVID-19 funding because I want to identify where that money went to, who touched it. Because on the federal level, they talked about the deep state, NGOs, government partners that broke the camel's back of the system. And I've also sent a public records request to our local city council about the COVID-19 funding. And the deep state funding just keeps carrying on, and on. Because if you're going to continue to give money out to organizations, associations, unions, where's the benefit to the people? Because we have a large number of economic inequality happen. But I'm seeing that people are not being responsive to my requests. They're very simple. It's about accountability. Because we finna go through a real reset in our economic system. And I'm gonna use this as a prime example. There's gonna be a large number of members of Congress who are gonna retire between now and the midterm elections. And I expect that to happen on a local level. Some of you I can't touch because you're termed out. But some of y'all, that's your first term. If you're tied into any of the deep state money that maintain this, what is the word I would say? Gatekeeper system, something must change. And nothing is not changing because nobody wants to take accountability. There was a lot of money put out there by the Biden administration. Now I'm asking for some help dealing with that COVID-19 money so I can look at it and I can review it all. Because the gatekeeper system has never changed. They're still trying to find a way to exist. And I yield the rest of my time.
All right, thank you. Next, we got Mr. John J. Nooney. Come on down, you'll get 3 minutes and speak to a specific bill on the agenda.
Hello, I am John J. Nooney, Jacksonville City Council, Resolution 2023-0819. I'm in City Council District 4, CPAC 3, School Board District 3, and agenda items. 1, 4, 2025-0834, 200 grand. 6, 9, 2025-0839. Mayport, Mountain Waterways, 10, 11, 2025-0842, 80 grand, 3 chambers. Think of the chamber of Commerce, Wonderful Park on Pottsburg Creek, 2025-0019. Number 12, 2025-0856, that's a homelessness initiative. You know, we're putting that one back another year. Keep in mind the Ford EV charging stations. Richard Reichert, 2025-0522. That's a revenue source for not only that homelessness, but any initiative that anyone wants to use that potential revenue source for. Down in minute 45. Number 16, 2025-0870. 53K, that's the veterans stuff. We got Admiral Lannon. Agenda item 17, 18, 19. We got 2025-0876. That's the Armory. Remember that one? For $1 a year. Yeah, that Armory, 2013-384. It's on Hogan's Creek. Public access on our waterways is the worst ever. I'm just down to a minute. But you know what? That's not in waterways. And, you know, I really want to be one of the biggest cheerleaders for for Jacksonville. But you know what? When you get to that one, and that's on second. So, but again, that's a gut check. You know, because, you know, right now, ask anyone, where can you launch anything on Hogan's Creek today? And here's find. Again, this is our ad valorem property tax money. You know, here, it's down to 20-some seconds. But here's Jack's Riverfront Alliance, October 27th, 2025. You know, we didn't do anything with it. And then the Northeast Florida Regional Council, 7 counties. And all of this is part of legislation that's before you today. It may not be at the top, but it is a part of it. And thank you all for listening.
All right, thank you. Moving on to our agenda, item number 1, 2024-0966 will be deferred at the request of Council President Carrico. Item number 2, 2025-0361 will be deferred at the request of Councilmember White. Item number 3, 2025-0811 will be deferred at the request of Councilmember Arias. That takes us to item number 4, 2025-0834. Can I get a motion? Second. I've got a motion and a second. No speakers in the queue. Open the ballot and record your vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, you've approved 2025-0834. Item number 5, 2025-0835. Can I get a motion on the amendment? I've got a motion and a second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair of the committee, the amendment will correct a Scrivener's error and then also place the revised license agreement on file to correct the renewal options that are available to this licensee to 2 one-year periods and clarify the license fee that would be due during those renewal periods, which would be subject, the first renewal would be subject to a CPI increase, and then the second renewal would be that same amount for that second year. Strike conflicting language regarding the city's capital maintenance and repair obligations. The city is responsible for making any repairs out to this facility, and then also revising the fire and casualty language to strike references to a building as they will not be occupying a building, and clarifying the licensor's rights.
All right, thank you. I have no speakers on the queue for the amendment. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed likewise? Amendment carries. Can I get a motion and a second on the bill as amended?
Move the bill as amended.
All right, I've got a motion and a second. Ms. Murray.
Thank you, Chair. Is there anyone here to speak to this bill? Good morning, Mr. Randolph. Just a quick question. Is this training that anyone can participate in, or is it something that's mandatory, and is there a fee associated with it?
Good morning, Ed Randolph, OED. Through the chair to Councilwoman Clark Murray. Yes, it's open to the public. We've been working with this gentleman. It's a retired state patrolman who's been doing this over 10 years now. And basically, he helps the Adamak Harleys and really the local retailers get the individuals that want to purchase a motorcycle certified with their license. So you can't purchase or drive a motorcycle in the state of Florida without a special motorcycle license. So it's basically helping out the local retailers. So he does that 1 week in a year. But the short answer to your question is yes, it's open to the public, anybody that would like to take the training.
Thank you. And what is there a fee associated with it?
Through the chair, yes, there is a fee. He charges a fee, but he, about 10 years ago, we first entered into a relationship with him. He had been basically kicked out of, they were redeveloping the parking lot he used out on the west side. I think he does maybe one out near the beach. But basically, it's a service he provides, again, to get folks trained and get their state motorcycle license.
All right, thank you for that. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you. No other speakers in the queue. Go ahead and open the ballot and record your vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, you've approved 2025-0835. Next, item number 6, 2025-0836. Can I get a motion on the amendment? I've got a motion and a second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair of the committee, the amendment would include a waiver of section 780.335 of our ordinance code, which requires an applicant who applies for a ad valorem property tax exemption as it relates to rehabbing a historic structure to complete that rehab within 2 years following the date of their application, which was December of 2022. Due to timing of getting their financing in order, they were unable to complete it within that 2-year period. So in order for them to receive this tax exemption, a waiver would need to be included, and then other is a Scrivener's correction.
All right, thank you. I don't see any speakers on the queue. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed likewise? None. Amendment carries. Can I get a motion? I've got a motion and a second on the bill as amended. No speakers in the queue. Open the ballot. Record your vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
All right. By your action, you've approved 2025-0836. Next, item number 7, 2025-0837. I've got a motion. Can I get a second on the bill? All right, I've got a motion and a second. Ms. Murray, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I simply want to be added as a co-sponsor for this bill. I'm very familiar with the lovely group that's in the North Riverside area, and they are doing a fantastic job of preserving their community so that it does not become gentrified in wake of all the activity around it. So I definitely want to be a co-sponsor of this bill.
All right, very good. No other speakers in the queue. Open the ballot, record your vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, you've approved 2025-0837. Next, item number 8, 2025-0838. Can I get a motion? I've got a motion and a second on the bill. Ms. Murray, you're recognized.
I'd actually like to, through the chair, I'd like to place an amendment on this particular bill. Okay, and I know through the chair to Mr. Fopoulos. I hope I'm just in the right posture because I know there aren't any amendments that are listed for it. So, okay. So basically, looking at the bill, I want to remove all references to District 9. In addition to that, the references to the CBA dollars that would go to District 9. And that's an explanation of my amendment. I need a second. Thank you.
All right, we've got a motion and a second on the amendment. So discussion on the amendment. Dr. Salem.
Mr. Chair, can I just ask a clarification question real quick?
Yes.
Did you want to remove District 9 from the Wonderland District as it's proposed, or just the references to District 9?
References in District 9 as proposed.
Okay.
Dr. Salem.
Thank you, Chair. I had some questions on the bill. So I guess my question through the chair to Councilmember Clark Murray, what does that do for the corridor? Does that cut it in half? Can someone answer that? Or can you answer that?
Well, through the chair to Councilmember Salem, I don't know if it cuts it in half, but it excludes District 9. Because it seems to be a third, District 12, District 14, and District 9. So I want District 9 excluded from this bill. And actually what this bill does is it's about a petition for the district, not necessarily creating the district.
I understand.
Because that's the first step.
I guess my question is more to the bill sponsor, so I'll wait for further discussion on the amendment. But I would like somebody to tell me, if they can, what this does to the proposed special district. Does it take out a third, a half, or can someone answer that for me?
Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem. So the proposed district runs, it's on 103rd Street, and it runs from Blanding Boulevard all the way out to Cecil Commerce Center. 103rd Street is kind of the dividing line for districts 9 and 14, and then where Old Middleburg is, if you're familiar with that, is the dividing line between 9 and 12. So if District 9 is removed, a safe estimate is it's a quarter to a third of the properties that would be a part of the district.
Thank you.
All right, no other speakers on the amendment. So, Councilman Morrow, are you on the amendment? Yeah. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to Councilmember Clark Murray, I get the sensibility from the tone of your amendment that you are not included in the conversation about creating this district. Is that at the genesis of your amendment? Because there are three. It covers 3 districts, and while it sounds great in concept, if there's been no conversation with the others.
Through the chair to Councilmember Amaro, I have been made aware that the bill sponsor, Councilmember Johnson, he did hold some public meetings. I did not attend any of them. I initially found out about the idea of this bill through a broadcast that I saw on television, where the council member was with a business that is in District 9, and he was talking about what he was proposing to do. I am long familiar with 103rd Street, and 103rd Street is not an area that's in decline, it's an area that's in transition. I understand that what the bids do, and it's enumerated in our ordinance as well as the Florida statutes. The main thing that the people want who live along 103rd and the businesses is safety. You may have seen in the news this weekend where another person died as a result of 103rd being designed for anything but safety. There have been numerous crashes along 103rd where people have lost their lives. Most recently, just like I mentioned, happened to be a bicyclist versus a car. So I'd rather give the people what they've been asking for, which is to continue to push FDOT, because 103rd is a state road. It's not a county road, it's a state road. And anything that's done to that road has to have permission from the state. And so I'd rather continue to push for safety measures on 103rd, which is what the people want, as opposed to doing something beyond that for now. Because once again, my role in this position as the council representative is to give the people what they want, and what they want is that road to become safer. You may have heard several people have lost their lives, including a mail carrier. And almost at least once a month, there's some kind of crash that makes the news. There's some kind of death that occurs. And I have several of the several printed copies from the newscasts just not too long ago, including on my birthday, where someone lost their life. 2 people lost their lives on that road. So the road needs to be safer. I don't think at this time a business improvement district is what's needed. I also noticed that I was out there this weekend and just sitting and watching. When a Starbucks moves onto a road, that means that there's something there. They do their metrics, they do their study. They don't just move into a particular area that is in decline. They move because they know that there's some money there and the people are going to want to buy coffee. So I don't think that it's a good fit for the community at this time, and I'd rather spend my CBA dollars doing the other things that I know this community has asked me for. And safety is one of those things. A BID is not one of those things.
All right, Councilman Maurer, good. All right, let's go to Councilmember Boylan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, a question, if I were through the chair to Mr. Stefopoulos. So by removing District 9, does that mean the individuals or businesses in that district will not receive this petition?
Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, yes, that's correct. Since the whole purpose of the bill is to assess the interest in creation of the district through the issuance of those petitions for a response, then they will not be sent to the District 9 members if the amendment were to be approved and then carried forward to council and approved there.
Thank you. Through the chair to Ms. Clark Murray, just a few minutes ago, you just said, I want to do what the people want. What's the value? Why is there a problem having them petitioned? Certainly, if you, at the end of the day, you make a determination that those people you represent in that district don't want it, that may be an appropriate time for you to pull out of the process. But to arbitrarily and unilaterally make this decision for them seems to be contrary to your very statement a few minutes ago.
Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, you make a great point, and I love the fact that you're very sensible. You're right, there is some polling there, but I don't know if we can discuss, well, the petition is a part of this. And so one thing that needs to be, if I was to perhaps change my mind or even to consider what you just said, the petition itself, if you look at it as one of the exhibits, it does not emphasize the fact that, okay, it emphasizes a $750,000 infusion. But then, in very small letters, it says that the fact that to the assessment. And so the assessment is the caveat there. That's the part that that businesses really need to understand, and business property owners, that you, at some point, you're going to begin to be assessed as a part of this. So the $750,000, like it's like bait. And if I was a business owner, I'd be like, yes, $750,000 for my business, $750,000 for the businesses, yes. But there's also other aspects of that I think that aren't being made clear at this point. And I understand what you're saying. Shouldn't the people have an opportunity to determine whether they want it? The businesses, and remember, it's going to be the property owners. Many of those businesses along 103rd Street are Fortune 500 companies. Like you've got McDonald's, you have Starbucks, you have Waffle House. I don't know if it's Fortune 500, but I know they're not public. Okay, I love Waffle House. You have Amoco, you have O'Reilly's, you have Publix. So I don't know if that's something that they would be interested in because they own their properties. Maybe with the exception of Publix, they have a tendency to rent those particular buildings out. IHOP. And some of those businesses have been there for decades. I worked at West Side, which used to be Forest High School. Taco Bell, those companies aren't going anywhere. The main thing that I would say that needs to be done with 103rd, in addition to what the people have asked me for, would be just to clean the area. And that is really as a matter of neighborhood pride. Could we get those things without having to give $750,000? Yes, we can get those things without having to provide them with $750,000. Remember, that's for the businesses. And in all likelihood, the people who run those businesses don't live along 103rd Street. So it's the residents who are left with certain aspects. Additionally, the other thing they asked me about was crime. And so I'll talk about the crime, and it's not the crime that has been discussed in Riverside. That's a different kind of crime. You have people who are vagrants. They're homeless. They're breaking into those particular businesses. And if you think about it, Riverside, 5 Points, where the other BID is, there's kind of a niche community. There's a community nest there. 103rd Street is more commercial, and it is designed to take one person from one location to another. It's a commercial district, as opposed to having that niche feel, like I said earlier, in regards to the 5 points bill that we approved not too long ago.
All right. Okay, let me go to Dr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to wait to speak to the bill instead of the amendment, and thank you for allowing me to speak, and thank you, Ms. Clark-Murray. I wish that you would have come to the notice meeting, and we could have had this discussion before, but I do have it documented. It's public record. I called you 5 times through the chair to Ms. Clark-Murray, inviting you to the notice meeting for at least 4. I did. I called and emailed, and it's documented. I do have emails where I was requesting a meeting before, at the time, Councilmember White was the president of the council, who also came to the notice meeting, and we were waiting to hear from you so that we could plan around your schedule for months. This is not just, and actually, I want to speak to the amendment, and then I'll speak to the bill, and I do, Mr. Chair, have an amendment to the bill, and I'm so thankful for the Office of Economic Development, Mr. Randolph, and also Mr. Grant, to the General Counsel's office, as well as the Auditor's office. Thank you all. We've been working on this for well over a year. But I think the Councilwoman just proved my point when she said it is a commercial district, and it is, and that's what this is about. This is not a typical business improvement district, but a special taxing district. This was not an idea that I just kind of came up with and pulled out of a hat. It was something that came from months and months and months of conversations in the district, which is all documented, by the way. And I made sure, and I want to say, just to correct some things on the record, I just heard that the business improvement district was only heard through a television interview, and that's unfortunately, maybe that individual did not read the emails or the myriad communications that was sent to that office, but I do have it documented where I sent it over and over. And post the noticed meeting, I also sent the minutes specifically to the council member of the noticed meeting, as well as the video and transcript and minutes of the noticed meeting. So I will tell you that I did try to do my due diligence, but I'm only doing, in the words of what Councilman Boylan said, what the people have asked for. I will go into explaining how the process works. This is just the first step in the process, where the people from the district are able to sign and say they're either interested or not. There's still several other steps, and before the actual tax number or that increase is put in place, they will have to approve that as well, whether they like it or not. Everything is there. I've spelled it out on Legistar. I currently, which I will explain when I speak to the bill, but there will be a digital site that includes all of the details of the specific information, which is being built now, as well as the first time there will be a digital adoption process where people can either adopt or choose not to do it. And again, it may not pass. I don't know. The community may not want it, but this is what they said they wanted, and that's what my job here is. I will tell you that it's interesting that I just heard that the crime or safety, seems to be the preeminent issue that was discussed along the district, and that is kind of the reason why we're doing this district. What I've heard, and this is not just, again, done in a vacuum. I've had several meetings, as the council member stated earlier, about this. I've had a chance to meet with the police officers in the area, the commanders. I've got a chance to meet with the other community organizations and businesses. And what happens is, if you create a business development corridor in that space, which borderlines, it's the dividing space between districts 9, 14, and 12. If you put this business district there, it allows for facade improvements. Obviously, it's a state road, so we can't do much physically, but we can do facade improvements. We can have business loans, those kind of things. So it improves the district, and thus it improves the safety, and that's what I'm told. Last but not least, if District 9 is removed from this, I do plan to petition for it to be in other spaces. While I did make the request and come up with the idea of the $250,000 from each of the districts, and I'll explain the bill and how we got to where it is when we speak to the bill. But I think it would be disingenuous because, as was said earlier, this is what people from both sides of the street want. I may represent the south side of the street, but one of the business owners, as Ms. Clark Murray said earlier, who I did a television interview with, who was interested in this project, is on the north side of the street, which is District 9. So this is not something that was done in a vacuum. I think it would be disingenuous to the people that want this. While I do understand the representative has certain views, my views are the views of the people, and I'm not sure whether the council member has done the requisite research and really understands. I think a more intelligent thing to do was to be set to say, perhaps we would remove the $250,000 from the community benefits agreement that I have and maybe revisit that later. But to say we don't even want to do the petition process just seems to be anathema with intelligence. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, through the chair. I just
Okay, Ms. Murray,
to
you're
Councilmember
recognized.
Johnson. So, once again, it doesn't take a great deal to talk with people and to know what they initially want. And I meet with them regularly to know what it is that they want. Not one, and I am in that area frequently too. They haven't mentioned that they need a business improvement district. What the number one item that they want is for 103rd Street to be safe. Safety is paramount. And once again, where we have so many other roads that they are making design changes so that those roads will be safe, that's what we, for some reason, are lacking on 103rd. And I didn't just start crying when I got into this chair. I've been crying out about it since 2016. And I've met with FDOT. So this particular endeavor and me speaking today does not come from a basis of being uninformed or being unintelligent. What it does come from is a basis of having a mind and heart for the people and to give them what it is that they want. And then move into those things that are niche. A business improvement district is a niche aspect of a community, and it can be very helpful to a community, but it's not going to be very helpful. You're not going to be able to move other businesses in until they realize that that area is safe. The starting point for safety will be the road. The second aspect, although with this particular bid you can hire security, but some of the crimes that are being committed on 103rd, security would not be able to touch. It is definitely within the reins of the JSO to handle, not a security company. Furthermore, let me just clarify another point. When I first heard about this, it was a television broadcast. It was a television broadcast. Additionally, thank you. Additionally, I know that there were notice meetings. They did not meet with my particular schedule, and I was unable to attend them. And I'm going to leave it at that, Chair. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So with that, we've got the amendment on up right now with a second. Let me go ahead to Colonel Miller before I move any forward.
After hearing everyone speak, I must say I like the concept. I like the work that Councilman Johnson has put into this, and but at the same time, I also want to respect and appreciate Councilmember Clark Murray and what her district, knowing and believing what her district wants or what is best, and I need to respect that as well. So without going into the interesting comments on intelligence and knowing what the people want and other things, I wish we would stay away from that and stay with the substance of what it is we're considering here, but not going any more into that. For this particular amendment, which is what we're talking about, I will be supporting it because I want to respect the district council member who has asked for the amendment. But I also, looking forward, again, like the concept of the bill, I like the work that's gone into it and wanting to improve the area. We'll talk about that later. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Colonel Miller. All right, I want to get this amendment to a vote here real quick. I'll go to Council Member Dr. Johnson for a second time, if you can briefly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Very quickly, I just want to say that, and I thank you to the chair, through the chair to Colonel Miller. Thank you, but this was nothing personal when I said that. I used the word in its right context, so it's not personal to Councilmember Clark Murray. It's about the situation and understanding the situation. That's what I was speaking of. And most importantly, I hope, colleagues, that you will not vote to support this amendment. It kind of goes in, if you do believe, my point was proven earlier, at least one of those members was on television, and I do have communications with many of the members that are on the other side of the street, on the northern side of 103rd Street, who are interested in this. And to say that we don't want to at least hear their voices kind of nullifies that. So at least the petition process doesn't put the district in play, but what it does is get the feedback so that we have it on record properly. So I do hope that you would not vote to support this amendment. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So no other speakers in the queue on the amendment. I look at this, the amendment as if it was in my district. You know, I work with different council members where I border Councilman Gaffney, Councilman Lannon, Councilman Amaro. We've got a fire station that coming in my district that borders his that he fully supports, and I put a lot of weight into the adjoining council members and their decision, and so I fully understand what Councilman Murray is stance is on this, and so with that, I'm going to support her amendment on this. So with that, let's do a hand raised vote. So all in favor of Councilmember Clark Murray's amendment, raise your hand. Any opposed likewise? All right, by your vote, that amendment carries. So do we have the bill's amended? I've got a motion and a second on the bill as amendment. I believe Councilman Johnson has an amendment he wants to bring forward. Let me go ahead to Dr. Salem. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I have a number of questions. Through the chair to Dr. Johnson, the 250, if you can answer these quickly, comes from the 3 district people, their CBA money. Was that the idea behind your thought?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Through the chair, yes, sir.
Why do we need an ordinance here at this point? I opposed Councilmember Peluso's area because I still don't think that he had the support that he was telling the council. He was counting 20 or 25 people, as I recall, because they did not respond as positive, which greatly concerned me. But he went, theoretically, in his aid, door to door to get them to sign petitions, yes or no, or they would not sign it. Why not do that and see what the consensus is before you come forward with an ordinance?
So this, through the chair, this is the way that was explained to me. Again, I had this in a notice meeting, and this has been going on for more than a year, so this is not me just deciding to do it. The conversations I've had with business owners in the area is the impetus for actually having that notice meeting. They're the ones who are saying, what can we do? So when I went into the bat cave, so to speak, and did the research and did the work, it came out this was a way to be able to, this is more about placemaking. And one of the things that the sheriff's office told me is that when we can placemake along this corridor, putting in lighting and signage and other things in that respect that kind of gives a cohesiveness to that corridor, it helps security outside of the corridor to those neighborhoods on the other side of it. The reason that
Johnson, you're not answering my question.
Hold on, just a moment. I'm getting there. If you'll just give me a moment. Thank you. Through the chair, because I'm speaking. The reason why we are doing it in this way is because it was the way that was prescribed from the general counsel's office. This is an official process just to officially gauge whether these people are interested or not. Rather than coming and knocking door to door and getting a petition, which may or may not be the right person or the right business owner, this is a process that is digital, that allows the property owner to say who they are, what they're doing. We've kind of found a way to do this process so everybody's voice is heard, and we're not coming up with a situation like you just mentioned with Councilman Peluso's district.
May
Thank
I
you.
continue,
Yes.
Chair? Through the chair to Miss Mary over there. Is this the method that you prescribe for this? And are these mailed petitions? Are they emailed petitions? And can you describe the process if you recommended it?
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem. So I'm going to defer to Mr. Reingold, who worked on this legislation with Dr. Johnson. He'll be able to answer your questions
Thank
more
you,
readily
ma'am.
than I can.
Mr. Reingold.
Thank you very much. Dylan Rangel with the Office of General Counsel. So first off, Councilmember Johnson and I did have conversations about this. We recognized what happened with regards to the discussion about the Riverside 5 Points area. I certainly will defer to Councilmember Johnson about his intent, but I know one of the things that we did discuss was a more formalized process whereby which we could gauge property owner sentiment in the area. The way the bill is drafted is that the Legislative Services Division would essentially distribute petitions, and then working with Councilmember Johnson, we developed a process whereby which those could be done, either submitted electronically, submitted by mail, submitted in lots of different ways, just making it as easy as possible. Through the chair to Councilmember Salem, I hope I answered your question.
So it was a method that you worked with him on. This was not a OGC official way of doing this process, if I hear you correctly.
There is no official process whereby which there is to gain sentiment for a new special district. This is certainly one legal option to do that.
Okay. Okay. How many businesses are in this district? I guess if we're including assuming Councilmember Clark Murray's area is going to be included, at least at this point anyway.
I think there were something like 200 properties. I don't have the exact number on me, but I'd be happy to provide that to you.
Okay. That's okay. I'm just looking for a rough 267. Okay. Approximately 270. If I think I've got the microphone. Thank you. Have you recommended a particular percentage that needs to say yes before you would move forward, or is that up to the discretion of the council member?
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem, that is a policy decision for the council.
Okay. And these petitions you're going to mail out? The city's going to mail these out?
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem, as drafted, the bill is proposed to have the Legislative Services Division distribute those. I believe I had a conversation with Ms. Smith this morning about her suggestions on how to handle that, and I certainly defer to the council member and to the Legislative Services staff.
If I can pause for a second to see.
We need to pause. Council members, please, please order. Please, no, let's stop the crosstalk. Let's stop the crosstalk, please. All right, Councilman Salem, please continue.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your last comment, Mr. Reingold. You said Legislative Services would do what with these petitions?
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem. So as proposed in the Legislative Services, in the legislation, Legislative Services Division would be directed to distribute copies of these petitions to all of the owners that would be part of this. I will state that I had a conversation with Ms. Smith earlier this morning. She may have some comments about that, her thought process on whether Legislative Services is the right folks to do that. And I certainly defer to Ms. Smith on that.
Is she here? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see her. I apologize. Well, for the sake of discussion, the process of getting these distributed has not been worked out, whether it'll be at city expense to mail out or emailed out, and getting those petitions back. Yeah, if you could comment, I hate to, hopefully this is helpful.
No, please continue.
Okay. I don't want to.
Good morning, Bernadette Smith, Chief Legislative Services. The process normally is this. Legislative Services is the record keeper. We receive the information. We don't mail it out. What we mail out per our department are for appeals, and the applicant pays for the mail out. Normal process is that the council member mails out the petitions because it's out of their budget. If we mail it out, it's out of our budget.
Okay. So you are anticipating some type of mail out, mail process?
If we do it, it will be a mail out process, and I will figure out how to back charge it basically to the council member.
But
Yes,
that
sir.
hasn't been worked out
That
completely.
has not been worked out, correct.
Okay. Thank you. You've answered my question. I just, I'm opposed to taxing people in general unless there's some overwhelming percentage of people. I didn't feel like in the 90% or plus, it wasn't there for the Riverside District. God knows that it will be here, but it would seem to me that, in my opinion, the ordinance is not necessary. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, but I don't think we need legislation to do that work. I think that work is up to the council member or council members that are involved in this and their aides to do some pavement work, so to speak. So those are my comments. Thank you.
All right, let me continue with the members of the committee here. Let's go to Councilmember Boylan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate comments of Councilmember Salem. This bill, has been actually deflated significantly with the withdrawal of District 9 as part of the conversation. It even makes it worse in the context you're going to have, assuming it plays forward, that there's going to be, I'm not saying it is or isn't, but there are going to be some beneficiaries who are not participating in the special taxing district. It sounds like this bill isn't ready. I don't know. I mean, at face value, I like the idea. Let's go ahead and petition the neighborhood and see, in whatever form is appropriate, to see if there's an interest and an appreciation of creating this district. Doing so without 9 in it, it doesn't make sense to me. I can't support it right now. Frankly, from my perspective, and maybe I'll offer this to Councilmember Johnson to consider, to defer this or postpone it until we can work through some of these issues. You can go back to this group and provide them greater detail as to how they're going to be contacted, and or to ameliorate the concerns raised by Councilmember Clark Murray, and bring this back to the committee at a point in time when it's ready. It just seems like there's just too many questions to it today, and I would suggest either the chair or the introducer of the bill to defer it. Otherwise, I can't support it.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Colonel Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to briefly visit the funding part of this. I heard Councilmember Salem talk about the $250K from each district. Could someone please explain that in a little more detail, that financial aspect of this bill? And then do we have also follow-up, do we have Councilmember White, which is, I believe, the other district representative, on board with supporting, because obviously funding would come out of his area as well?
Through the chair to Councilmember Miller, and I'll also defer to the introducer as well. I think the intention was that there were CBA dollars that were made available to each of the district council members because as proposed, the special district would span across 3 districts. The idea would be that there would be this initial influx of dollars from the city through those CBA funds from each of the 3 districts that are contemplated to be a part of the proposed area. Obviously, Ms. Clark Murray is here to express her position on that and has proposed this amendment that was approved to remove her district, so therefore her CBA dollars would follow that, presumably. I believe, and Dr. Johnson can correct me if I'm wrong, Councilmember White may have been present for those initial notice meetings and may have initially expressed that he had some interest in kind of seeing it move forward and potentially including his dollars. But recently, whether or not he is still in that same position, I don't know, and would have to defer to him, and he's not present. So, but that was the idea. It's not an appropriation of those dollars. It's not dictating those dollars, but the petition does suggest that those dollars would be the funding source for this initial influx of money into the district to help them get off the ground before assessments are made.
All right, let me quickly, Mr. Delaney, you was in the queue. Do you still want to speak?
Yeah, I'll just speak really briefly on this. I think no matter which way this goes, that we might benefit from another notice meeting that does meet with Councilmember Clark Murray's schedule. Our office would be happy to help coordinate that. The idea of the BID and, especially the idea of surveying the property owners to see if they want the BID, both sound good, like they could be beneficial to these areas. I wouldn't want to get too far away from the mechanism that Dr. Johnson has proposed as far as surveying the members. We all saw what happened with the last BID that came in here. The reality is we don't have one core structural policy that you can look at and say, here's how it's done. That caused a lot of confusion and, frankly, moving of goalposts on what should be required. So I do think that it's commendable, the amount of work that's gone into just trying to find out if this is a good idea. But judging by how this is going, I think that at least having more notice meetings, more talking between the three council members, any city staff that needs to be there will make available. And if need be, we'll help coordinate the meeting. We just would like to get everybody on one page as much as possible. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm going to go to Dr. Johnson here in a second. One question that I have, the legislative service, come back to the podium. You had mentioned about this not being a normal procedure, that there's potential additional cost. What are we looking like staff-wise? Are you able to pull enough staff to do this? I'm just looking at, are we going to overload what y'all's normal activities are? What will this do to your department?
No doubt we'd have to the chair, no doubt we'd have to do some type of an adjustment for staff to, number one, prepare it as well as get it ready to mail out. As far as, it'll be an additional workload, I'll just say it that way.
Okay, so it would pretty well, I guess what you're saying, will be a additional burden.
Correct.
All right, thank you. Let me go to Councilman Amaro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to Councilmember Johnson. Did you not say it was a digital platform that was the vehicle for getting these petitions to the prospective business owners?
Thank you for the question, Councilmember Romero. That would be, the digital platform would be the return of the petition. They could do it digitally. We worked through the process to make sure that it was infallible, or at least as best could be defined by the law. With the General Counsel's office. And let me say, there would be the funds. I know there was questions about funds and postage. Every council member is allotted a certain amount of postage every year. I've already checked. And again, this wasn't just one notice meeting. This was several meetings. All of the prerequisite work was done. This has been over a year, more than a year of work. But those funds are already allocated, or they have been allocated out of the budget that comes from the office. So that's the question about the mail funds. It's already taken care of, and it would be from District 14. And yes, it would make it easier. One of the things I wanted to include legislative services is, and I appreciate their work in giving me feedback, is to ensure that they're not having to go through and check petitions. In the digital process, it comes back certified because we're using the parcel ID numbers in conjunction with the property appraiser's office. So all of the details are there. They can go in, certify who they are, put it in on the digital process, and it makes it easier. And business owners, that was one of the problems I saw before in the most recent. And by the way, it's not a bid. I want to make sure this is a special district. Mr. Reingold, correct me if I'm incorrect. This is not a traditional bid. This is a special district. But this way, This has not been done before, as was said earlier. This was a way to do it that was different, but that allowed the business owners to be able to have their voice heard. And again, before any final appropriation of CBA dollars are made, this is not about the appropriation. That was a suggestion in the meeting. Councilmember White, during that noticed meeting, said that was a good idea, but we would still have to go through another piece of legislation to even appropriate those funds. This is only to get the petitions so that we can see the needs of the business. And so this is not a half-baked bill. This is a bill that's 1.5 years in the making. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I don't know if you still wanted to, Mr. Rygel, to elaborate.
Through the chair to Councilmember Johnson, Dylan Rygel at the Office of General Counsel. This is a bill to start the process or a petition for a Chapter 189 Florida statutes special district. That is essentially it would be a special dependent district. That is the district that would be established.
All right, thank you. Councilman Amaro, do you have any? You're good. All right, so let me go to Dr. Johnson. Or you're good? All right, so no other speakers in the queue, so we've heard a lot of dialogue here. I guess I want to ask the introducer here, being that what you've heard here this morning and all the work that you've put into this, I know it was laborsome to get it to this point. Do you want to defer it until you can possibly get some more harmony and a lot of these questions answered, or do you want to go ahead and move forward? So, Dr. Johnson.
Mr. Chair, I will defer to your leadership on this. I will be appearing in the other committees. I believe that I am going to ask that we at least get these petitions done. Again, I still am going to have more noticed meetings like I've done before. I'm still going to reach out to my colleague, Councilmember Clark Murray. Whether she responds or not, I don't know, but I will be reaching out like I have done over the past year of this project, and I will leave that to you, Mr. Chair. But I will ask that we at least get my request for this committee is to allow this to go forward so that we can get the will of the people, because there would still be 2 to 3 other votes before the district is created. This only just says this is our will. That's all I ask. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to give you that opportunity and afford that to you at this time. Let me go to, I got a couple more speakers in the queue. Dr. Salem.
Thank you, Chair. I did not attend any of the notice meetings, and shame on me for not trying to get to one of those that you had. We're all busy. Number 2, I would urge you to defer this bill. I think there's too many questions about it here today, and with all the work put in, I would not, and I believe that I would not want a negative vote to go forward until we had more information. So that's my suggestion. Number 3, I believe the council members can put CBA money toward this area without a district. I mean, it's their $1 million. I think they have broad discretion on that, and I don't know that you need a commercial district that is being proposed to put money into the district, whether it's for security or what it may be. So that can go forward, and I think those dollars are available. Are they available now through the chair, Mary? Through ordinance. Those dollars are available today, are they not?
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem, yes. They were effectively available October 1, subject to appropriation through legislation.
To the district council members.
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem, yes. So the supplemental CBA says that the funds would be available beginning this fiscal year for one or more projects related to a public purpose within the district identified by the district council member, but subject to final approval by the city council.
Okay. You've made my point. Thank you.
All right. So I've got a couple more in the queue now. Let's go to Councilman Amaro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Very quick question for the bill sponsor, Councilmember Johnson. Is it not possible for you to move forward with the petition drive to actually get the temperature of the community as to what their desires might be, whether this bill moves forward or not.
That is a question that has not come up. I'll defer to General Counsel on that. Through the chair, could we still do the process? Thank you for the question, Councilmember Romero. Through the chair, can we still do the process?
Through the chair to Councilmember Johnson and Councilmember Amaro, there's nothing illegal of having a district council member just do a petition. Conceptually, I think the idea was just to get a firm grasp in whatever manner of the support from the business property owners in the district.
Councilmember Amaro, the reason why we did not go like one by one, I think from what I'm understanding, and forgive me, I'm sorry to do this work here, but through the chair to Councilmember Amaro, wasn't it because this process would then be something that shows officially as opposed to going around getting a petition one by one? What was because I thought I understood that we had to have something that was official, and this was the closest that we could get to that for the special district.
Through the chair to Councilmember Johnson, I think the issue was simply as opposed to I think the idea was to get a more official petition out there and response, and so there was a lack of confusion potentially in the responses that were received by the city. There was also an issue of the fact that it spread across multiple districts as opposed to the last one that was only in one district and with petitions or submittals submitted and obtained by one council member. I hope that addresses the question.
Just a comment. I'm a kind of a common sense, bottom line kind of guy. And if right now, if you want to be sure if this community desires it, from Blanding all the way to Cecil Commerce, I would think that part of the groundwork would be to find out what their desires are. And it seems like you can achieve that while this legislation goes through the process. It just seems like you can go ahead, you can validate, you can qualify, you can come back and say, all whatever 735, 237, whatever the number was, 50% agreed, 75% agreed. And I think that puts you in a very stronger position to validate what you're trying to accomplish. That's just my thoughts. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Final speaker, Ms. Clark Murray.
Final. Okay. So through the chair to the committee members, if you look in the bill, legislative gateway, you'll see the bill and you'll see the exhibits. I think the petition is Exhibit 2, and so you can see the language that has been used on the petition. Okay. The other thing I wanted to say was in reference to, it seemed like a minute ago, in reference to something Councilmember Salem said, is that with our CBA dollars, we can do this. I have actually Mr. Fopoulos looking into the language for the CBA to make sure that that CBA dollars could be appropriated in this particular way. And I think we just had a brief discussion that right now our understanding is that they could. But once again, in my opinion, and based on what I've talked with the people about, and after looking through the I don't know what this is called, I guess it's the summary of the cards that people fill out when they attended the notice meetings, what their concerns were. That this can be done through the council members, through those CBA dollars. And I want the members of my district to determine how those dollars are used. I don't want someone else saying that, hey, they have to be used this way, or hey, they have to be used that way. That money is and $1 million seems like a lot of money, but if you think about it, and we put some perspective on it, if you just think about, I used to be a member of the TPO before I came to this particular board. A mask for an intersection used to cost $500,000. Now it's about $750,000. So if you're talking about just making safety improvements on an intersection, that's almost all of the money. So we want to make sure that we take these dollars and use them the way that the community wants them used. And they have expressed how they wanted them used. And I will be open to any other suggestions that they make, but I want this money. It has to enhance District 9. We're already in the negative, and I don't want to use it unwisely. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilman Morrow, you're in the queue, are you? Okay, sorry. So let me go to Dr. Johnson for the final speaker on this.
I did not get a chance to, because of the other discussion, if I may, Mr. Chair, propose an amendment. This is an amendment that was recommended. We worked on this actually during the holidays, so I want to say thank you through, again, Mr. Chair, for General Counsel's office as well as OGC, the Office of General Counsel and the Auditor's Office. Thank you, Philip and Kim. Thank you, Mary and Dylan. There are a few amendments. This amendment would be to establish the official petition window. The window would open January 5th, 2026, close February 17th at midnight, which represents the amount of business time needed. The second part, it modernizes the petition requirements. It says that the signature, and all of this has been already shared with General Counsel and OGC, but it puts in the parcel identification number and signature of property owner or designee, and it clearly has to identify, so there's an adjustment with the petition. It establishes the digital submission pathway, accepts submission through the digital submission portal. It updates the parcel list, which has been put there, and it also gives specificity as to all of, right now, the only thing that we were given at the time, or that I received, was the map of the properties. This is the actual parcel addresses and ID numbers of the properties. So all those things have been entered, and I ask that you would entertain that someone would make that motion to put those things in to amend this piece of legislation. Finally, just to speak to this, I know there's been a lot of discussion about CBA dollars. While the proposal was to use CBA dollars to front load the district, because I know Councilwoman Pittman is doing one, as is Councilmember Peluso, this was simply a proposal. This is less about, some of the council members said, well, you can just take this money and do that right now. And the reality is you can't. You can't create a special district in that respect, and just because of the way the street is located. This is less about the CBA dollars and more about creating a district that will last long after we're all gone from here, but it's something that will bring a revitalization to the west side, but also add into the security aspect because of the cohesion of what would happen on the corridor. But I hope someone will push this forward for me, please. Thank you.
All right, is anybody on the committee? Okay, so we don't. We got to have. Okay, Ms. Mary.
To the chair, so it has failed for lack of a motion. So at this juncture, you have a motion on the floor that's been seconded to move the bill as amended by the Clark-Murray amendment, or there's also been some discussion with respect to a deferral. So I'll leave the committee to have those discussions.
All right, thank you. So there's no other speakers in the queue, so I asked the introducer if he would entertain a deferral, and his desire is to move forward. I know Dr. Salem was not wanting to defer it, or was wanting to defer it, but at this point, I look at what the introducer's desire is, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and open the ballot and record your vote. Hold your horses, Dr. Salem for a final. Dr. Johnson for.
I'll be Dr. Salem, Mr. Chair. No, I didn't say that I wasn't open to a deferral. I said I would leave it up to you. So it's certainly in your. I'm not opposed to a deferral. I don't need to move it forward. We've been working on this for 18 months now.
Okay.
I said I'd leave it to your leadership.
I understand, but you did say your desire was you would want to see it move forward.
I'm honestly, it belongs to the committee at this point. So when I tell you that, Mr. Chair, I mean that. If you defer it, I have no problem with it. If you move it forward and vote it down, I will do what I told my community that I would and champion it. But it's totally up to you, Mr. Chair, and I won't feel any kind of way regardless.
Okay, well, as the chair, I want to be fair, and I don't want to see a bill with all the work that got put into it have a negative vote on it. My desire, it would be to defer it, and I just wanted to make sure that we were in harmony with that. So with this discussion, and I appreciate everybody's input, I will be deferring this. And we'll move on to item number 9.
Mr. Chair, before we move on, if I could just ask, so there was an amendment that was approved by the Neighborhoods Committee. Is it the intention of the committee that we go ahead and file that amendment, or is the preference that we hold and then it can be taken up again when the bill comes back through the process?
I would say go ahead and file the amendment.
Okay.
That was voted on at the will of the committee.
We will do so. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right, so that will take us on to item number 9, 2025-0839. I've got a motion and a second on the bill. No speakers. Ms. Clark Murray.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to be added as a co-sponsor.
All right. That was easy. No speakers in the queue. Open the ballot and record the vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, you've approved 2025-0839. That takes us to item number 10, 2025-0841. Can I get a motion on the amendment? I've got a motion. Can I get a second? And a second. Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair to the committee, the amendment would clarify that the DIA board can extend the performance schedule for up to 6 months without further council approval. The resolution included 6 months. The bill said a year, so we're just clarifying that it's for 6 months. And also placed a revised amendments to the MOSH agreements on file to reflect extended performance schedules of 6 months throughout the agreements as it relates to all the outstanding performance items that they're required to meet, and then reflect that there shall be no reduction in the area or quality of land within the joint use partnership park parcels to mirror the DIA resolution. They can make adjustments to the sizing and layout, but no reduction in the land.
All right, so I've got Ms. Murray on the amendment.
Thank you, Chair. Through the chair to Mr. Peterson, based on what you said, so are the spaces, is that considered to be a part? I'm assuming that, not assuming, the spaces are considered to be a part of the land, correct? Or are we just, when it says reduction in spaces, are we just talking about how the parking lot is marked? Probably not to you, Mr. Peterson. I apologize. Is there anyone here from DIA to speak to this?
Through the chair to Councilmember Clark Murray and to the committee, the parking lot spaces are an element of the legislation, but they don't have to do with the amendment.
Okay.
So just to put that out there.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. So I would I would say just through the chair, just stay there because I do have additional questions till we get through the amendment. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Dr. Salem to the amendment.
Through the chair to Mr. Peterson, I just want to clarify, the parking is not a part of this amendment. Is it a separate amendment, or how was the parking changing potentially as a part of the bill?
Sure. Through the chair to Councilmember Salem. So the parking reduction from 75 spaces down to 30 spaces is an element of what this bill is doing. It is not part of the amendment that's noted on your agenda and what I just described. That is one of the requests of DIA as a part of this legislation.
So we will discuss it as part of the bill once the amendment passes.
That's correct.
I'm fine with that. Thank you.
All right. No other speakers in the queue on the amendment. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed likewise? None. The amendment carries. Can I get a motion and approval? I've got a motion and a second. And Dr. Salem, you're in the queue.
We can discuss the parking at this point. I have a number of concerns, questions regarding the parking. But let me go back. through the chair to Mr. Peterson, we have $40 million of city money invested in Mosh. Is that correct?
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem, I believe the number is 50 million.
Through the chair, the number is 50 million for the museum parcel.
50 million. So we have a lot invested to make sure Mosh is successful. I think that's a fair statement. How many parking spaces are at the old site?
Through the chair to Dr. Salem, I believe there's 75 parking spaces.
At the old site?
At the old site. There were additional 25 provided at the old River City. And then we have public parking in excess of 200 spaces that we operate underneath the Acosta Bridge.
How far? The River City is right across the street, correct?
Through the chair to Dr. Salem, you're correct.
At the old site. And the ones under the bridge are within 100 yards or so?
Through the chair, that sounds about right.
Okay. So do you have a feel for visitors? I'm trying to get a feel for how the only 30 parking spaces will impact visitors to this facility. Do you have a feel for when the 75 overflowed to River City and or to underneath the bridge?
Through the chair, great question. I feel like some of these questions are more appropriate for Mosh as the operator of the business, but let me just set the stage for how DIA came to support the reduction. We have 1,480 parking spaces in two, I would argue, underutilized garages within 600 to 900 feet of this space, which is a straight line from A. Philip Randolph. So we feel that we can accommodate the parking much the same way. If you went to the town center, you don't always get to park in front of the Cheesecake Factory. Sometimes you have to walk within 800 or 1,000 feet. So that was our sort of philosophy with our ability to acquire their public parking needs.
I think to compare Mosh to the town center and going out to dinner or apples and oranges, that's just my own opinion. Can someone from answer my question about number of visitors on a daily basis, a good day, parking, when it overflowed, et cetera?
Yes, good morning. Dr. Al Dove, I'm the CEO at Mosh at 1025 Museum Circle. Through the chair to Council Member Salem. So the choice of 75 parking spaces in the new site is built off the old site, but it's, as you say, apples and oranges. The new museum will be twice the size of the old museum. So it really isn't meeting the needs at 75 spaces. So we knew from the beginning that we would be looking at our primary parking solution as being an off-site parking solution. And as Mr. Parola has just shared with you, there is abundant parking available within walking distance of the Lot X site. So we feel the best use of the city's valuable contribution, which everybody on the Mosh and its board very grateful for the city's contribution through the CIP. We think it's a better stewardship of those valuable funds and that valuable waterfront property to allow the parking to take place at these common amenities elsewhere in the sports and entertainment district.
Sir, you're not answering my question.
Well, I'm trying to get to it. So,
please get to it.
Okay, so we expect that 75 spaces would not meet the need on an average day. So we're talking about probably 200 to 400 spaces on a 200 on the quiet side, 400 on the busy side, and those can best be met from the ViStar Arena deck just to the south of ViStar. That's 2 buildings and 1 street crossing away from the Lot X site.
Okay, well, let me get back to my original question. So you had days at the old site, half the size of the existing site, where you were using the parking across the street as well as the parking garage. Underneath the bridge. Is that correct?
That's right. So typically what happened was people would choose which side of the old museum they would park at, depending on how they approached the building. So it wasn't that they filled one space and then flowed over into the other. They would choose whichever one was most convenient.
Where do your employees park at the old site?
So they park usually in the right side lot. That's the one that serves Friendship Fountain.
When you say right size lot, is that the lot closest to the building?
Sorry, the right side, the east side lot, the one that's closest to the Friendship Fountain Park, not the one that's on the west side, which is the old River City parking lot.
Okay. my recollection is that y'all were required to submit a design sometime over the summer of a 50-60%. Am I correct on that?
Actually, we were required to submit a 30% a little earlier than that, but the building has been revised since then, and we expect to submit to the city a revised design before the end of the year.
You have, so what percent design have you submitted already?
30%.
30%.
Yes.
How many parking spaces are in that design?
I don't recall. I'd have to look. That was when we considered having the parking under the building. So this is since we had made an agreement with the city to move the parking out from underneath the building and put it next to it in order to save the city's CIP funds and use them for museum improvements.
Can someone, have y'all, through the chair to the council auditor, have y'all seen this 30% design?
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem, we have not seen the design, but according to the last approved agreement, they were supposed to submit a 60% design. My records show October of 2024. And that would have been with the 75 spots included because that was the required redevelopment agreement terms at the time. But I have not seen, Mr. Perola, I guess, has an
Mr.
answer.
Perola, was the design submitted at 60%, including 30 parking spaces or 75 spaces?
Through the chair, it was 75.
It was 75.
It was 75.
And 75, as I understand it, was agreed to when Ms. Boyer ran DIA.
Through the chair, that is a correct statement.
Is it fair to say that there was quite a discussion about the 75 when Ms. Boyer was there, and I wish she was here, and she was adamant on the 75 spaces?
Through the chair, I would say she was adamant at 75 spaces. I think it's a fair assessment.
Okay. And the 75 spaces, explain the dollar amount there. It requires it to go underground, is that what I'm hearing? I've heard that from other people, but I want to understand the expense of the 75 versus the 30. Because frankly, I am concerned about the attendance of this thing with the dollars that we have invested, and I want as many spaces on site as we can. I know Jacksonville, born and raised here, and I have great concern that people are going to walk that distance to visit. Mosh.
Emily Pierce, 1301 River Place Boulevard with Rogers Towers. So the design that was submitted showed 75 spaces. Those would have had to have been under the building in a parking garage type facility to the tune of $5+ million for 75 spaces. As has been said, we know that 75 is nowhere near sufficient for the capacity of this museum. We were going to spend $5+ million to put 75 spaces that we knew would be insufficient under this building. Instead, we can spend significantly less, save the city money, save the investors in Mosh money, save state money by putting 30 on the side of the building, redesigning the building. So we are in the process of redesigning the building right now to put those spaces beside it, redesign it, make a better, more iconic building that will better serve the public, knowing that there is more than sufficient public parking available in the immediate area. So that's the logic behind it, is we did not feel like it would be good stewards of the money to spend $5 million to get an additional 45 spaces.
But you, through the chair, you agreed to that.
They did, and that was prior to design.
But the agreement on file today is for 75 spaces.
That's correct.
I'll stop there. There may be others that want to jump in. As I said, I have great concern of the reduced parking and the viability of Mosh. I wonder where the employees are going to park. If there's only 30 spaces, are they going to park 300 yards away? How many spaces would that eat up? I have great concern over the reduction in parking. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Let's go to Ms. Murray.
Thank you, Chair. To the Chair, to the representatives from MOSH. Councilmember Salem actually, he went where I wanted to go in regards to the parking, and I do understand it doesn't seem logical to spend $5 million for 75 spaces. The logic is there. I see and I understand it. However, it is in the design, and I think about where the MOSH is to be located, and the reference to the distance to the parking lot that you were referring to, which is the stadium parking lot, basically, is what you're saying. So are there thoughts about, and this is really thinking ahead, are there thoughts about how those people are going to not just walk from the parking lot, but will they be transported in some way? Is there some thought about transportation, some type of hub or trolley, something that will move them from the parking lot to the museum?
Yeah, so through the chair, so we have a couple of thoughts on that. One is that it is close. So when I came to council today, I parked in the library lot. I walked past two buildings and crossed one street to get to City Hall. We're talking about a similar distance at the Lot X site. So it is close enough to walk conveniently. You know, walk past the Doro and Intuition and you cross Bay Street and you'd be at the museum. So it is very walkable. There'll also be a really good turnaround right at the door of the museum, so you can drop people right at the door and then go park your car. And it doesn't have to be in that stadium lot. You could park anywhere on the on-street parking on Bay Street or any of the other Alphabet lots that's nearby. So we have explored and talked about things like a golf cart service that shuttles people back and forth to the parking deck. It's barely necessary given how close it is, and we really feel comfortable that both the staff and the guests will be used to doing that. We also feel it's wholly consistent with the city's park once philosophy for the sports and entertainment district, where we're supposed to be parking in common amenities and then visiting multiple facilities by making it a walk, live, play area.
Okay, thank you for that. And so how much are you saving? Are you saving the total $5 million by reducing the parking spaces to 30? What are the savings?
It's a net savings of at least $4 million. It's going to be done at the same time with the building, so it's a little hard to put a price on a per space, but it's a net savings of at least $4 million, which can be put into the building, the exhibits, the fixtures, the park that's going to be in front of it.
Okay. And one last question, Chair. Is there going to be any cost for those people who want to frequent the museum to park in the JAG parking lot, or do you know does it require another agreement? Is there going to be any cost, and does it require an agreement with the state, with another agreement?
So we could charge people for parking in the 30 spaces on the lot, but there's no current plan for that. We figure those spaces will mostly be taken up by staff. And
So I'm sorry to interrupt, but not a charge for the people, but a charge for the museum. Is there another charge? Will the museum incur some charge from? Could it be the city or the JAG owners in regards to patrons of the museum parking in the lot? That's the question.
No, through the chair. I understand the question.
Okay.
Let me just say this, that we're not using any of the Jaguars parking. We're talking about parking decks that the city doesn't own, but the city operates. So imagine if you were at the mouth of Hogan's Creek and walked down A. Philip Randolph, right near where the baseball grounds are. We're talking about those garages,
okay, thank
which
you
are
for that.
substantively closer.
But is there any charge? Will there be a charge, or will just like he said, will the patrons need to pay extra to park there?
Through the chair, we would charge for parking. We would operate it as any other parking deck would operate it.
All right.
It would be a business decision to MOSH as to whether or not they had a validation program.
All right. Thank you for that. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Thank you. Let's go to Colonel Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair, I share some of the same concerns. I had voiced them earlier to a couple of people who had contacted me about this change of parking spaces. I'd like to go back, if I may, and it may take someone that has been here from the beginning to answer this, but I keep hearing about additional changes. The original design, can someone speak to the original design, which I saw and was amazed and really looking forward to that design, but I believe the size of the proposed mosh has gone down in size to the point we are right now. Can someone speak to that? The original design of what was initially proposed.
Through the chair, to Councilmember Miller, I believe you might be talking about the DLR design that was submitted a couple of years ago. So just to be clear, the total square footage of the building has not gone down. Square footage of the exhibit spaces has not gone down. It is still per the RDA agreement of 50,000 square feet of exhibit space. That is preserved in the new design.
But that first design, you're saying it was 50,000 square feet as well?
50,000 square feet of exhibit space, and the current
How about the total building? Because there are more things going on there, or proposed to have gone on there, than just exhibits.
Yes, so there are retail, education spaces, cafe, those sorts of things that add up to an extra space.
So what was the change? Total building space
It's a change of
from the
architect.
original design.
It's a change of
to where
architect
it's
and
now.
design, not a change of square footage in the building.
Okay, it's not what I recall, but okay, I'll move forward from that. My concern is obviously, and you just said it through the chair, you just said it just a little while ago, that I heard you say the projection is that the staff will take up those 30 spaces that you're proposing we reduce the spaces to. That automatically gives concern to all of us here. I think we all heard that. You know, and then it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? A brand new facility with parking, and we go from let's try to park as many people as we can. 75 isn't going to cut it. We knew it was never going to cut it. We're going to have to go remotely for people to park and walk over 600 to 900 feet. We knew that from the beginning, so let's go even smaller, knowing that that's 75 is not adequate. So let's go smaller. I'm trying to understand, but I'm having a rough time getting there. And then I hear they're going to be charged when they go to the city sites. How motivated are people going to be to come to this beautiful new facility because of where we've gone now with the parking plan? And I'm not sure we even have a solid plan yet, but we want to get this approved. Are there other cities, like-sized cities with new facilities that are using, and I might as well say it, a total remote parking plan for their guests or their visitors?
Councilman Miller, we can answer your second question. To your first, there was a misstatement. We don't know that our employees are going to park in those 30 spaces. We will have to put some handicap spaces and things. So that decision has not been made that that's where our employees are going to park. Those 30 spaces may well be for museum patrons.
Okay,
So
that's
just to let
through
you
the
know.
chair. That's exactly what we heard, though. So,
Right.
okay.
I apologize. That's
Okay,
a
and this-
misstatement.
and this-
As far as other museums,
Yes, so the museum architects and consultants that we work with on the design of this project feel very strongly that on-site parking is not required. It's not common in museum developments in many cities to have parking on-site. We usually use these common city amenity parking solutions and then have people either shuttle or walk to the location.
Yeah, all the ones I've been, that's why I was asking through the chair, all the ones I have been throughout the United States and other places, if there is any remote, most of it is on-site. I mean, just across the street in most places I've ever gone. Or if it's remote, it's only a block or so away. So I'm trying to get educated, trying to understand, and so far I'm unfortunately I'm just not there. I like everything else, but it seems we keep making adjustments and we say it's to be better stewards of people's money. Well, I certainly appreciate that and agree we need to be, especially as was mentioned earlier, with over $50 million of taxpayer money already involved here. but how far do we go in saving additional funds with that much invested? Or does it make more sense to say, you know, what's our revenue stream outside of the taxpayer, and how may we enhance that so that we know at least there's a sizable number of spaces on site for our patrons to use that will encourage them to come and park and enjoy here, not only Mosh, but on any of the other museums along that area as museums or parks as we expand the developments. So I guess for me, I'm just gonna leave it there for now, and then I'm sure there are others who want to ask questions, but I'm concerned about the parking plan. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Councilmember Boylan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, let me just preface my remarks. I certainly understand and appreciate. I'd rather see us invest that $4 million in the facility and not in parking. You take that $4 million divided by the 45 spaces, that's an awful lot of money for those spaces. Be that as it may, I am concerned about the comment that was raised with respect to employees and the use of those 30 parking spots. I'd appreciate a commitment at some point in time, perhaps even now, to say we will make certain our employees do not occupy those 30 spaces as part of this process.
Yes, so as Ms. Pierce, sorry, through the chair to Councilmember Boylan. So as Ms. Pierce has relayed to you, I may have misspoken earlier when I said that those would be for staff. They are ADA compliant. There are ADA compliant spaces in the design to allow people to park on site if they so need. But those other spaces should be available for park patrons.
So the ADA compliant, in the original design or plan, was the original ADA compliant spaces, how many of those were there, and how many, are we losing any of those in this process?
No, there are 3 ADA compliant spaces that are required by the statute.
I suspect you'll have more, I would hope, given the distance that you're talking about here in that context. I am concerned about the fact that customers or patrons of the museum will have to pay for parking on top of that. Can we give some thought to how we're going to address that issue so we can make it embedded into the price of admission and for the Mosh to handle that, however you want to make that work? Ms. Pierce.
Councilman Boylan, I would say that a survey of similar museums around the country, they charge for parking, so it's not unusual to charge for parking, whether it would be in the 30-space lot or across the street. That being said, that decision has not been made, whether there will be a parking charge. So Jill Davis, who's the chairman of the board, is here with us. They are in discussions with a local group. They are exploring doing a shuttle. The decision of whether or not there could be reduced parking or a parking agreement with the city has not been investigated yet.
Sure.
Like I said, right now, the standard around the country is everybody pays for parking for the most part at museums.
Well, I appreciate the thanks of some of my colleagues in this process, but I want to see this thing moving forward. I hate to see it stalled because of this change in the plan. Mr. Parola, could you speak a little bit to how the DIA reached a consensus in terms of moving this amendment to the agreement forward?
Through the chair, I think I would I'd just summarize it as this. They recognize 75 wouldn't suffice, 30 isn't going to suffice, but that we have, again, about 1,480 parking spaces between 2 garages that we need to make money off of, and that can suffice their parking needs. I think that was the overall philosophy.
Thank you. I would strongly encourage for Dr. Dove and others, Ms. Pierce, to give some consideration to what you're hearing of the concern today in terms of convenient access to it and expedient access to it. Certainly the shuttle, it might be something you might want to give some thought to between now and even finance tomorrow when this goes before them to make certain you have a commitment to that. I want to see this move forward. I think I prefer to see that $4 million being invested in the facility. So I will support it today, but I hope you have answers to these concerns that were raised by my colleagues.
Through the chair, if I could just say, the concerns of the council have definitely been heard on this occasion, so we'll make sure to incorporate your considerations as much as we can.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Dr. Salem.
Through the chair, Ms. Davis, we had how many meetings when I was president and finance chair where I challenged, you don't have to get up, where I challenged you and your board to raise the money so we could get the city commitment, because I, as well as everybody in this audience, wants this facility to be successful. And I wanted to see the commitment of the private sector, and eventually we got there. You probably didn't like some of the stuff I said, but you got there. I'm very concerned, and I don't feel like there's a plan here. I feel like we're grabbing things here, and I won't support this today because I don't feel like there's a plan. Maybe a shuttle, possibly golf carts. We might charge, we might not. It just doesn't seem to be flushed out correctly, in my opinion. One of the issues that I had written down here were school buses. I'm assuming there was going to be a bunch of kids coming down there. How are school buses being handled? Oh, I've got you. Okay.
Thank you, Councilman. Yes, so school buses will have a separate bus turnaround. And a majority of the people that visit the MOSH during the day, Monday through Friday, will be students. So when you think about our attendance currently at the current space, I would say probably close to 50%, if not more, are students arriving in school buses. So that's how you think about patrons. So we'll make sure they have a separate entrance and they have a separate turnaround.
Where do the school buses park?
They actually will, well, this was part of the DIA's regulation. They said the school buses may not park on our property. So due to that, we can unload and load 3 school buses at a time via a Philip Randolph. And then through that, we will need to create a separate agreement with school buses and parking lots around the area.
Okay, another
Yes.
point that needs to be
Yes,
worked through.
Yes, and I do appreciate your questions. These are questions I have too as well. Obviously, the success of this museum is extremely important to our board. Parking is something that we have talked about from the beginning. You know, you and I have been on this train for 5 years, and I appreciate your support through the past 5 years. We as a board are committed to making sure that this museum is accessible, affordable to the community, and also something that people find convenient. So we will take your suggestions. We will move forward with them. In our mind, as a board, spending $5 million plus, which it actually could be $5 million plus, as you know, escalation in costs can be, for 75 spaces, did not seem like the best steward of both our patrons' monies, the city's money, and also the state of Florida. But we are committed to working through a plan that addresses these questions you have, and I completely agree with you.
Through the chair to Ms. Davis, I don't view it as $4 million today. I view this over 30 or 40 years.
Yes.
So we need to approve a plan that we believe will be as successful as we possibly can for a long time. So you could make the argument over 40 years, that's $100,000 a year, $4 million, approximately.
I totally see where you're coming from.
And so that's how I'm looking at it. I won't be around for the 40, but I hope to
I don't
be
know if I will
around
either.
for a fair amount of it.
Yeah.
But I just think that you and your board need to work to work through some of these things.
Great. And yes, we will work closely with DIA, and we will work on a plan for you all.
But before coming to the council, because I know I'm on 3 of the committees, and if you think this is tough, wait till you come to finance.
We're excited. I appreciate that.
It will be much tougher. So you might consider a deferral, or you can take a vote today. I want to be there. I can't be there today. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Councilmember Morrow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the board's and staff commitment to good stewardship, and instead of spending all that money to create additional parking spaces, to put it into the building itself. I had a question of clarity. Perhaps Ms. Pierce, since she's walking, can answer. Through the chair to Ms. Pierce. Was there ever any intent to charge for those 75 parking spaces to begin with?
It is in the redevelopment agreement that Mosh has the ability to charge for those. So that that's not been part of the discussion one way or the other.
Okay.
I would say to the chair that if it is this group's request for a deferral, we would be fine with a deferral.
And I appreciate that, but I really want to get a lot of discussion from the committee to your group to fully understand what the concerns are. So, Councilman Amaro.
I'm going to support the legislation, but I just want to get some clarity on those areas through the chair. Was there like an afterthought to say we can create a revenue stream? And since you stated earlier that so many entities around the country are charged for parking, I've been there. I know it's $30 and I'm half a block away. Do you see this as a potential revenue stream for the museum to keep its operations going?
No, through the chair to Councilmember Amaro. No, if we were regarding this from a revenue lens, we wouldn't be seeking to reduce the number of parking spaces. We'd be seeking to increase them. Obviously, that would increase the available revenue. No, this isn't about creating revenue for the museum. It's about using precious waterfront property as efficiently as we can, using the city's CIP funds as efficiently as we can, leveraging the adjacent common parking amenities, and creating an experience where people can really visit the museum as a museum and not a parking lot.
All right, thank you. But nevertheless, it's still an opportunity, if you're able to monetize it, to create a revenue stream. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Let me go to Colonel Miller.
Thank you, Chair. Through the chair to Mr. Parola. We briefly touched on this, and so I know you don't want to speak for Ms. Boyer, but I did want to go back and revisit the exchange you had with past President Salem. It sounds, by your comments, that Ms. Boyer was very adamant about keeping the spaces to at least 75 on site. Can you expound on that further, on maybe why she was so adamant about that?
Through the chair, I'm really hesitant to. All I can say is we landed, the collective we of DIA and how this moved forward, we landed on 75 spaces because that's a number we could point to. I don't know whether 76 was the right number or 74. So as to motivation, I apologize, I can't really tell you.
Okay.
I can just tell you that the will of the board and then the will of council was 75 and it's being asked to change.
Okay. If that is possible to get that, I would like to know, because I know we've gone from to a different place with people as well. I understand that, but there may have been something very solid that we may need to hear, and so I'd like to hear that if there is something else. And then my second question is focused on the board, not on you, Mr. Prola. And maybe it's Ms. Davis. I keep hearing we want to be better stewards of people's dollars, and I get that, and I 100% support that concept. I just wanted to visit. We've heard that the city has put in over $50 million so far. Where is the board on its objective of fundraising? Where are they? What's that amount, and where are they in raising that amount?
So we were required to raise $40 million outside of the city funding before we could execute the $50 million CIP. So we have raised $45 million additional. So at this point, we're at $95 million for the project. Now we've gone out and done some of our due diligence with the conceptual design, pricing it. When we did the pricing, obviously, as you all know, construction costs have gone up over the past 5 years. The thought process around the parking garage was, is this the best use of $5+ million?
And And if you don't mind sharing, what's the ballpark of what the total cost is that you're getting from those bids?
For the new conceptual design, 106 for the building. I know.
And then what's the total cost?
The
You
total
said?
cost, currently we're working with our exhibit designers. The exhibits can range, I would just feel most comfortable giving you a range between 25 million and 35 million.
Okay, so you're looking at 131 to 141 million dollars roughly total, and you're at 95 with the city's commitment of that amount. Okay, I just wanted to get a feel, put this in context. I continue to hear the stewardship comments, but the reality is, you know, there's a lot of money that needs to be raised,
Yes, sir.
and I understand those challenges as well. So that's all I have for now. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. And sir, just so you know, I am also the chair of the capital campaign, so I get 2 fun jobs. And we have targeted over 80 million in the community of possible donors. We have 5 million that we're going to seek from the state again, the state of Florida. They've already put 7.5 million into this project. So it is a very important project to the state as well. I do feel that we have a very viable path to success, but we are just trying to figure out the best way to make sure we can deliver the best museum experience for the city.
Well, through the chair, thank you very much for your efforts, and I'm sure, you know, I speak for the whole city. I mean, we are all eagerly looking forward to this being realized. So I hope none of my comments lead anyone to think anything other than that. But I just want to be able to garner whatever facts of where we are now. And so you've helped paint that financial picture for me. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And may I make one more comment, sir? I want to thank the City Council. You are our largest partner, the City of Jacksonville, and what you're doing is dynamic. And I really appreciate everyone, and I appreciate the questions, because we need to all work together. And I thank you for the questions and for the concerns, and we will work as a board to do everything we can to deliver a great experience to the city. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Salem.
Just one other comment. Somebody brought up Cheesecake Factory at the town center. Where do the employees park that work at the Cheesecake Factory? They don't park right next door to the Cheesecake Factory. Whenever this bill gets approved, I will add an amendment that the employees, if you're going to have a plan such as this, they're not going to park on site. They're going to park in the garage. Every one of them. I think that whatever plan we come up with, I have concerns about 75. But if 40 of them are taken up by employees, I mean, are we crazy to even consider that? I'm glad to see I have a few heads nodding. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate the committee's comments here on this. A few questions that concerns that I've heard and looking at is from my understanding, we received 30% documents, but Mr. Peterson, we were at a point where we should have received 60% documents.
So through the chair to the chair, the current agreement required them to submit 60% design documents by October 31st of 2024. Their next reporting requirement was July of 2025 for 90% design. This bill pushes that 90% design submittal back to January of 2026. So at this time, based on what Mr. Parola stated, they have submitted the 60% design. The 30% at 30 spaces that may not be design, I'm not familiar with that. That's the first I've heard. But those are the requirements of the current RDA.
Through the chair, real quick, just to update on that. The second amended redevelopment agreement allowed for 6 months worth of extensions that could be granted by the CEO of DIA, and Mosh has used 4 of those. So those deadlines actually were extended. What we've done in this proposed amendment is get rid of that ability for the CEO. We've just added those 6 months in. That makes sense? We added the 6 months in as a flat extension of all the deadlines. So now the only thing that will be in this amendment as proposed is 6 months that could be granted by the DIA board.
Okay, so, you know, I understand extensions but you're basically your worst enemy because construction costs keep going up, but you keep extending it out. So there's a responsibility that y'all need to recognize. Like, you got to get moving forward, or you're never going to get the result, and it's going to keep climbing. And I hear $5 million for the 45 spaces, but then it's $4 million. So that figure keeps moving. You know, you're looking at $111,000 per parking space, basically, is what you're looking at. But with taking the $5 million out of the $50 million that we're contributing by the city, you're actually getting an extra $5 million to build the facility. So it's, you know, what a lot of the council members at this point in time can do a lot with that $5 million. If you're going to take $5 million out, then that $5 million possibly should come back to the city and not go into the building as well, to where it's a $45 million investment, since you're not building the original design that was committed on. So there's a lot of things to still look at, to a lot of questions here that's come up. I don't think this bill's ready to move forward. I'll be deferring it, and I look forward to getting some hard plans to know what's going on, to be able to justify going to the community and validating what the dollars are being spent on for the taxpayers. So I am deferring this. We will keep the amendment that we voted on, and look forward to. Okay, I got a couple speakers, so I have deferred it. So let's go to Dr. Salem, and then we'll go to Clark Murray.
Just a quick question for clarification. There is not a design today that reflects 30 spaces versus 75.
Through the chair, while they're discussing that, there was a conceptual floating around, but I will tell you that, at least from my point of view, one has not been submitted as a formal, this is where we're going.
So you've got conceptual designs of 30 spaces.
So the board anticipates getting the designs by the end of this year from our architects, which will then be reviewed by Mosh and the board before it is then submitted to.
This is a yes or no question. Are there conceptual designs that reflect 30 spaces?
Yes.
There are. That's outrageous to me. That there'd be designs reflecting something the council hasn't approved. Thank you.
All right, let's go to Clark Murray.
Thank you, Chair. Councilmember Salem went exactly where I was going to go. Now, my question is, is it possible for us, through the chair to the Marsh representatives, is it possible for us to get those designs? Can you send them to us? Is it within the realm where we can see those conceptual designs? You can send it to all of us?
They have not been submitted yet, and they have to go to the board for review.
Okay.
So they cannot come to the city yet.
And you anticipate the designs going before the board by the end of the year?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
All right. I think we've had enough discussion on that. That has been deferred. Appreciate y'all coming down. We'll Look forward to future discussions about this. Let's go to item number 11, 2025-0842. I've got a motion and a second on the bill. Ms. Murray, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. All I want to do is be added as a co-sponsor for this bill.
All right. Any other speakers? None. Open the ballot and record your vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
By your action, you've approved 2025-0842. Item number 12, 2025-0856. Can I get a motion on amendment? I've got a motion and a second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair to the committee, the amendment would just strike a reporting requirement of March 1, 2026 within Code Section 86104F. That will no longer be applicable should you move forward with the bill requesting the extension for the strategic plan.
All right. No other. Okay, Ms. Murray.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sorry. Through the chair to Mr. Peterson. Will you please repeat what you just said in regards to the last part? Just kind of caught my attention.
Yes, ma'am. Through the chair to Councilmember Clark Murray. So there's a requirement in our ordinance code right now that annually the Homelessness Initiatives Committee will review the strategic plan and the action plan and make recommendations to council for updates to those plans, and they'll do it beginning in March 1 of 2026. Given that this bill is extending the deadline for them to create the initial 5-year strategic plan to December of 2026, they won't be able to meet that March 1, 2026, so we're just recommending striking that reference as it's no longer applicable.
All right, thank you for that clarification. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you. No other speakers. I've got a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor say yea. Yes. Yeah. Any opposed likewise? None. The amendment carries. Can I get a motion and a second on? I've got a motion and a second on the bill as amended. Mr. Colonel Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair, is there anyone here that could speak to this bill?
I believe Ms. McGillis can.
Anyone from Homelessness Initiatives Commission or the sponsor of the bill?
Ms. McGillis is here as the sponsor was unable to attend.
Okay. My concerns are, and I guess and I do have a couple questions, but more out of frustration. We realize, and this body realized, the full body of our council realized how important homelessness is in resolving, getting that challenge to a much better place. And here we are on a basic document that needs to be in place so everybody can work together to get toward that vision of where we want to be regarding homelessness as a city. And here we are, we're going to extend another year. The work that this commission we put together needs to do. And my concern is, I'll just say them before I ask my questions. My concern is we have over 30 city planners, we have nonprofit executives, we have business executives serving on the board of this commission and associated with this body and this effort, but yet I think they have just gone out for request for proposal, and I'm not sure, and here's where my question is, have they selected someone to do this plan? Who is that, and where are they from?
Shannon McGillis, Office of General Counsel, through the chair to Colonel Miller. They have selected a candidate. It was the top responding candidate from the RFP. I do not remember the name off the top of my head, and the candidate is not from this region, but did, part of negotiations, agree to actually have people on site and come to the Homelessness Commission meetings.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to leave it right there. I must say, I started attending most of the meetings when this commission was formed. And they just seem to be moving sideways, and a lot of sideways movement. And I quite frankly, I was wanting to help, wanting to get involved. And I know we have a representative, Councilmember Peluso, as our liaison there to this commission. But I got to the point where I stopped going. And I stay plugged in to know what comes out of every meeting. But boy, we've gone a long time here, and we still don't have a strategic plan. And that should be our base document, where we started. So sorry you all had to listen through my frustration here, but I am very disappointed at where we are with this very critical issue that we have acknowledged it and put a commission together, and we're moving at a snail's pace on something that we need to move faster. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Dr. Salem.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not sure who can answer this. They have $1.8 million to spend on homelessness this year. Can anyone tell me, and I made some recommendations about this side of town, some type of daycare center, and I'm sure others have made. Do we know where they are on appropriating, recommending, spending any of those dollars that I assume would come back to the council? Can anyone help me?
Through the chair, Ms. McGillis is the attorney for them, so she's probably best suited.
I can tell you that at their meetings, they have discussed the use of the 1.8 million almost in total, and those recommendations have been forwarded. They would have to come forward as legislation. So that's where they stand. If you would like, I can send you the minutes from the meeting that they had finalized that.
Do they understand through the chair that a council member needs to sponsor that legislation and get with OGC to draft legislation, et cetera?
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem, yes, I have made that abundantly clear. And that is where we are in the process, getting that sponsor. And by we, I mean them. And I would be ready to draft that legislation when there's a sponsor.
Okay. I wish Councilmember Peluso was here. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Councilmember Boylan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do appreciate the frustration. Obviously, homelessness is a big part of the work we've done in the past. Perhaps this question is to Mr. Delaney. Procurement, were they involved in the process of hiring the consultant?
Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, yeah, it was a typical RFP.
So therein lies part of the problem. Getting through procurement, as you know, is a timely, extensive process. Appropriately so, perhaps, but sometimes maybe some things need to get moved up in the line.
I will say to fill it out, procurement moved with all possible celerity on that once it got to them. This is clearly a big issue for the administration and for the city. But yeah, things take time.
And I do appreciate the fact the Florida House bill had an impact on the direction this is taking, as well as the identification of the commission members. But I do share Colonel Miller's comments with respect to let's get the ball rolling on this thing as quickly as possible. Hopefully tomorrow at Rules, Councilmember Peluso will be there to speak to the specific activities that speak to the concerns that Councilmember Salem raised. My last question is to Mayor Stefopoulos with respect to the consequences if this bill is not approved.
Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, then they will be unable to meet their obligation under the code because they won't have a plan to submit for
What is the bottom line to that? If they can't meet their obligation, are they dissolved as a committee or as a body?
Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, no. I mean, it's essentially a self-enforcing code provision. So to the extent that the council would want to take some form of action, it would probably need to be through some form of legislation.
All right, so the detriment of our interest in seeing this moving forward, we could be an encumbrance to that by not approving this ordinance.
Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, to the extent you want to allow them to fully develop a plan utilizing the entity that they selected through the RFP process to give fair consideration to that, you would, you take that for what it is. The other thing you can consider is whether the outside date that they've provided is appropriate. That's something that you all could discuss, whether you want to require that they would submit sooner than what is being proposed through the legislation. That's an ask. That's not an obligation for the council to accept.
I appreciate the suggestion. Ms. McGillis, is it reasonable for us to move the date up to get some sense of urgency to this? Perhaps at the end of the fiscal year, or I'm sorry, June 30.
Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, I would believe that a late summer, maybe October 1, I believe that I should look at the contract. They're drafting the contract right now to make sure that that would not affect the timeline of the negotiations they have with the consultant they're using, but I can have that answer at the next committee stop.
Well, I think I would offer that, if I can, Mr. Chair, as an amendment to change the extension to 10/31/26 as opposed to December 31/26. If they're in the process of drafting the agreement with the consultant, that's certainly something they could accommodate as part of that process. So I would offer that as an amendment. Looking for a second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson. Okay. All right, so I've got a motion and a second on the Boylan amendment. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Likewise, none. The amendment carries, and we will wrap them up in one. And I've got a motion and a second to move the bill as twice amended, as once. Okay, rolled up as once amended. Now, Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair, sorry it took me so long to confirm, but Councilmember Salem had a question about the 1.8 million and whether or not that would require council approval. That 1.8 million is above the line, so they can spend without coming back to council for approval. Just wanted to put that out there because I was unable to jump in earlier and went to confirm, but I have been able to confirm that 1.8 million is spendable by the Homelessness Initiatives Commission under legally procured purposes.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Salem.
Through the chair to Mr. Peterson, was it set up that way through the budget process? I'm surprised that that's not coming back to the council for approval.
Yeah, through the chair to Councilor Salem, and that's what I was trying to confirm was what the council ultimately approved, but it did come to you above the line and it was left above the line.
Did we have a discussion of that during the finance hearings?
I would be speculating. I'm sure you did, but I don't recall the details of that.
I just don't recall that, and I can't imagine that the Finance Committee would not want to see what they proposed and vote on it through the council. But is there any way to change that at this point? Legislation. Okay. Thank you.
All right, so we've got a motion and a second on the bill as amended. I just, I'm going to support this, but this is, we keep getting a lot of heat from our homelessness and just kicking the can down the road and not doing anything. And $1.8 million has been right here in the graphs to do something. I just highly encourage that this group let's get some action and get the relief out to the community. So let's open the ballot and record your vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, you've approved 2025-0856. The next items are on second, 2025-0865, 0866, 0868, 0870, 0872, 0873, 0876, and that takes us to item number 2025-0882. Can I get a motion on emergency? I've got a motion and a second on the emergency. Mr. Peterson.
Sure. Through the chair to the committee, the nature of the emergency is Councilmember Gaffney is sponsor of this bill and the bill that previously approved the funding towards the Northside Community Involvement Regrant Program. Would like to get this just moving as fast as possible. This bill proposes a change to the previously approved term sheet, and so with the 2-week council break, 3-week council break, given the fifth week in the month of December, he just wanted to try to get the dollars out into the community as fast as possible.
All right. So, Colonel Miller on emergency.
No, it'll be on the bill. I'm sorry.
All right. Councilman Amaro on emergency. All right. No other speakers on the emergency. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed likewise? None. Emergency carries. I've got a motion and a second on the bill as an emergency. Colonel Miller.
Thank you, Chair. Through the chair, I wanted to just clarify about the physical address. So the reasoning for this, where is the physical address then? If it's not inside the county or inside the city, where is the physical address?
Through the chair to Councilmember Miller. So the original term sheet required that the physical address of the entities applying for the grants must be within District 8. The introducer doesn't want to limit it to businesses within just his district, so they could be from anywhere within the county. They could apply for grants through the program.
Okay, so this is in general through the chair. This is in general overall. It's not due to some specific re-granting for a specific organization.
Correct. They haven't issued any grants because he wanted to effectuate this change first. But he determined that he did not want to have that limitation to his district, and he wanted them to be able to accept applications from within the entire county, and it's not in response to an issue with a particular grant or a specific request, to my knowledge.
Okay, so through the chair, but there still is a requirement that it be within Duval County.
Through the chair to Councilmember Miller, yes, because legally we can only expend city dollars within the county.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear on the record. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Councilman Amaro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To Mary as well, just to further dive into this exemption or request for an exemption. Doesn't this create a slippery slope of sorts if entities are using dollars out of their respective districts?
Through the chair to Councilmember Amaro, I'm not sure I understand the question. So these were strategic initiative dollars that were originally approved through the various budget processes last year that carried forward into this year because they hadn't had an opportunity to be spent. I believe the council has appropriated dollars for this program in the past, so there's been one other instance where the regrant program has been supported using city dollars, and I believe at that time it was still a District 8 council member initiative. But maybe you could explain your question a little bit more.
Through the chair to Mary, I remember there were some challenges in getting this grant approved because the entity did not meet certain eligibility guidelines. My question is, they're not in the district or physically. They may be working there, but it sounds like the condition for them to receive the dollars is that they have to have a footprint within the district. If we approve this, are we creating a slippery slope that for example, in my district, if I find an entity that is in Ms. Murray's district, but maybe do a little bit of work in my district, do I now have to come and if I wanted to get them some money to do some adjustment of some sort or exemption? I don't know how regular this is. It just seems like a slippery slope, and that's what I'm asking.
Through the chair to Councilmember Morrow, so these dollars don't have a similar restriction like your community benefits agreement dollars do. There's no obligation that they be spent within the district. And so various council members have over the years proposed strategic initiatives through the budget process that wasn't just specific to their own district. It's kind of at the discretion of the council member whether they want to limit it to their district and focus it there or to allow it to be of a county-wide focus, and that's what Councilmember Gaffney is doing. He's wanting it to be of a county-wide focus.
All right. No other speakers in the queue. I've got a motion and a second on the bill as an emergency. Open the ballot and record your vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, you approve 2025-0882. And with that, that brings us to the end of our agenda. I appreciate everybody's input today. And just a reminder, if y'all happen to miss it, Florida beat Florida State this past weekend. So the world's good.
I guess you might as well go home with a win, right?
So,
Mr. Chair, if I may, go Buckeyes. Thank you, and Councilmember Diamond and I agree to disagree on that one.
I'm sorry, you're not recognized. We are adjourned.